Have you ever been so tired that every thought in your head starts to sound like proof that you're failing? And you're not falling apart, you're just exhausted, and your nervous system can't tell the difference. Um, and I'm sharing this today because this is how I actually feel today. It's how I woke up this morning. I'll explain why as I go through the video, what I'm doing about it, and also just to be able to show you how you can deal with this when this does come up with you. So at the end of it, you've got an action plan when you feel this tired, because we all get really tired for one reason or another, and it's very easy to then start believing the stories that your head comes up with. So the reason I feel so tired is last night my son decided, well, he didn't decide, he didn't do it on purpose. My son had a stomach bug. So we were up several times, changing bed sheets, cleaning him up. He wasn't in a great state. So I'm very tired. He felt great by the morning, apparently. So it was just a weird blip, but I didn't get much sleep. So I'm feeling really tired. And part of then what starts happening with me is I then start analysing things in my life. My brain just goes into, well, this is happening and that's happening. And I start seeing worst case scenarios. So I'm going round and round in my head and then feeling like I'm not doing enough. I'm not achieving enough. Things aren't really working, and that maybe what I'm doing is failing. And it's about me like going over some of those fears that maybe I've held in the past that I have been able to work through. When I get tired like this and the energy feels depleted, the fears come up, the anxiety rises, and I feel that that grip, almost like I've been gripped by something that's going on in my life, and I struggle. It's a real fear. So like, for example, I might look at my business, and if the metrics aren't quite where I want them to be, I will see myself as failing, and I can't see the clarity. And the best way to describe this is when you start to get depleted in terms of lack of sleep, your cortisol levels can go up, and then that turns off the prefrontal cortex. You stop being able to think and analyze properly. But because the cortisol's up, the cortisol's trying to get you to analyze stuff. And so obviously what you're drawing is like wrong conclusions or overblown things because your brain can't function and take in what it needs to take in. And I know that it's not like a news story for me. It's not something that I just discovered, that I go through these negative points when I'm tired, but it's more actually being able to understand that more and giving myself a little bit more compassion around it. So even say preparing for this video, it took me far longer to prepare an outline to be able to do this than it normally does, because my brain's not functioning all that well. And I'm kind of just working on autopilot. So I'm doing what I need to do. But then I was thinking, I don't want to do this on autopilot, because what I want to do is to be able to really think and to really share and to be open and honest and share where I'm at. And I was really struggling to put into some order as well. And as you can see, it's not going, it's not going to script. But I just wanted you to know that like it's okay to have those moments. Right? Lack of sleep is not a failure. It's just something that happens to all of us for one reason or another. And mine wasn't. I actually wasn't awake for worry or stress or anything like that. I was awake because I literally had a real reason to be awake. And obviously when you're overtired, I said about the cortisol going up and the prefrontal cortex going offline, essentially. But also your nervous system can perceive that fatigue as a threat. And like I said before, the way that it works, it sees the fatigue and it sends all these messages, and it's got this threat. It sends all these threat messages up to the brain. And then the brain is now doing what it normally does, and it's trying to find the reason for this feeling of threat. Except because you're really tired, the brain's not really functioning that well. So I'm going to yawn. And it can't find the right answers. So it brings the wrong stuff up. And so you start scanning for what's wrong, and you notice every single little thing that it could possibly be, and you start blowing it out of proportion and thinking, well, this is wrong and that's wrong and this is wrong, because that must be why I'm feeling this way, because there must be a reason for this. You know, you're not tuning into your intuition. You've slipped into hypervigilance. So it's your body saying, I don't feel safe. And your mind's translating that into, well, I'm failing, or this isn't working, or that's not working, or this is a problem in my life. And it's tempting to say, well, I can just think positively, but that doesn't really work when you feel like this. And so actually the only answer is to restore the body, repair the body, and get it back ready for going again. And so that a lot of that is about getting that rest back. So eating well, like good nutritious food, hydrating, resting, breathing, allowing the body to heal, to rest, to recover. Because you know that once you get that good night's sleep, everything's going to come back online and you're going to feel a lot better. And it's one of those things that I would say I think is really important when we look at these things, is it's about being able to be aware of what's happened. So when we look at it sort of like layer wise, okay, so you've got our ego, and it's the ego that feeds in them. The nervous system feels anxious. The ego is like feeding into that. This isn't working. That's not working. I need to do this. I need to do that, because you're coming at it from a place of fear through the ego, because of the exhaustion, because of the dysregulation. And then you've got the other part of you, I'm not going to say non-ego, because we're always going to have an ego. It's just sometimes it has a positive way of looking at you and a non-positive way. But if you look at the bit that maybe is less egoic, that's the bit that would be able to ride with it and say, do you know what? I'm doing these things from a place of joy and honesty and where I want to be. And so I'm just flowing with it and seeing what happens. And every day that I'm doing something, I'm learning a little bit more. I'm learning, every time I post a YouTube video, I'm learning a little bit more about how to do YouTube. And there's loads more that I want to learn, and knowing that I'm going along that journey, and that's okay. And then there's also the part that is important in this, and that's the witness. So for me, I found that the witness was actually quite strong, because it became very, very aware that, okay, I am feeling when I was getting all these feelings of failure and stress and anxiety and feeling all of these negative thoughts, my witness was very easily able to say to me, do you know, you are really tired, and the reason that you are feeling this is because you're really tired. And I could observe that from outside of the mental chatter. And it's a really important one to work on, is getting that mental chatter under control by using your witness a lot more. And that just becomes practice as we become more and more observant of where we are, what we're doing, and who we are. We start to understand what's happening, and our awareness grows, and our ability to observe grows. And I still believe I have a long way to go. There's a lot of observing I miss out on. And there's also a lot of mindless stuff that I do. And I'm lacking on the mindfulness a lot of the time in my life. And I'm still working on that, but it's knowing that we can do that process bit by bit by bit, and we can move forward. So it's like coming to the point where when you do feel tired, if you can notice these thoughts coming up, and you can actually then start to become aware of like, oh, but I feel really tired right now. Is there a link between that tiredness and this feeling? And starting to understand that and become aware of it, then that can actually make a huge difference. So yours might not be like feeling like you're failing. Your fear or your emotions may be different when you're tired. There may be grief that comes up, or sadness, or other emotions. And it's becoming aware of, okay, this emotion is coming up. Is that coming up because I'm really tired and I'm not able to process what's happening properly because I'm really tired? And the more you can understand that, the more that's going to help you to kind of move through it. Because once you become aware of that and you observe it, you don't hold on to that feeling, those negative thoughts and feelings for very long, because you've just observed that it's actually not even a real thought. It's just a depleted mind and body coming up with a reason for that depletion without just saying, do you know what, I'm just really tired. And so it's just remembering that. That's it for today. And I hope you found this useful. If you have, remember to like and subscribe, and come and join me in my free group, The Sacred Pause. I will put the link in the description for you, and I hope to see you soon.